Thank Hashem that we're able to learn. Supposed to have learning, we should have the base of Migdash immediately. Shbir for Shlema. Michiel Nassim ben Sarah, Aaron David Alevi ben Minachad Lester. Ramafal ben Sarah, Asher Anshel Alevi ben Miri Maidal, and Sarah Bas Nuni. Okay, we're holding Daf Tes, and if you have a Gemara, traditional Gemara, the lines get wider, so it's 6 lines from the wide lines.
So the Gemara?
Amar Parnach on Daf Tes 9a. It's towards the top. It's Amar Parnach Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Yeah, we're discussing Ein Ma'avrin Simcha b'Simcha, that you're not supposed to mix two celebrations together. And we said that Shlomo Melech, when he did the inauguration for the temple, so he did it over Sukkot, but why didn't he? But he also did it the 7 days before Sukkot. So why didn't he join it all together? That's because Ein Ma'avrim Simcha b'Simcha, and he had 14 days of celebration. So Reb Parnach says the name of Rabbi Yechanan, that year the Jewish people did not celebrate Yom Kippur. They ate. They were concerned that maybe they're going to be destroyed. Over here it's called Senem Shal Yisrael. The enemies of the Jews will be destroyed. That means it's a euphemistic way of saying they were concerned about themselves, that they would be deserving of destruction. They ate on Yom Kippur, the whole community. Yatsa Baskal, so a heavenly voice comes out. Nope, you're all going to the world to come. My Darish, what did they learn that told them that they should do what they did, that they ate on Yom Kippur? Amru, they said Kal v'chaymer. They had a fortiori, a logical way of understanding that they should eat. When it came to the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, the tabernacle was a temporary Beis Hamikdash, but nevertheless, the Karban Yachid, during the inauguration, there were Nesiim, the princes that brought every day a sacrifice.
Is that the 7-day celebration for the Beis Hamikdash?
We're doing a comparison from the 7-day celebration of the Beis Hamikdash. We're going back at the Mishkan, which was much earlier, 480 years earlier. They left Egypt and they built the tabernacle. Now, at the inauguration of the tabernacle, they also brought sacrifices, and those sacrifices were brought by private individuals, the 12 princes, and Deicha Shabbos, this is Skila, and they brought it on Shabbos. Private individual sacrifices were offered on Shabbos. So Mikdash, that was by the Mishkan. Now let's go to the Beis Hamikdash of Shlomo Melech. The Kedusha Salem. This inauguration is very serious. The Karban Tzibur, and it's not sacrifices being brought by individuals, it's community sacrifices. And V'yom Kippurim Danish Kares, it's not on Shabbos, it's just Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is less strict than Shabbos. Shabbos is skila, a violation of Shabbos. It's stoning, capital punishment. This is the punishment of excision, kares. Like Kolshkein, should it not be a kal v'chaymer that they should bring these sacrifices on Yom Kippur? Now, there's a slight difference, which the Gemara is going to mention, that when it came to the Mishkan, the sacrifices were not eaten. It was just brought on the altar. I'm sorry, when it came to the Mishkan, now they're eating the sacrifices. So if that's the case, that you have such a good logic, so why were they concerned? It's not a difference. But it's if it's the same thing, then why were they concerned? So the Gemara answers, no, it's different. Over there by the Mishkan, the sacrifices were for heaven. But here they were for their own eating. As they brought the shlamim. What were those sacrifices by the Nasiim? We read it on Hanukkah, right?
Oh, it would be like during the Vita?
Kafa Chasasar, Parachad ben Bakar, Ayal Achad, Ben Shnase Laila. I think they were all Lailas or Achatas, but they weren't Shlamim. Over here, they were brought. Shlomo Melech brought so many sacrifices, peace offerings that everyone was eating. So that's a different story. So, so that's where they were concerned, because maybe it's not exactly similar. So Hachanami. So here also, why didn't they do it like this? Meva liavdu mechalei nechal v'lei lishtu. Why didn't they just bring the sacrifice and not eat it if they were worried about it? They should have done it exactly the way it was done in the Mishkan. The Gemara says,
Also,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Rabbi. Also, Shlomo Melech chose this date, but that wasn't the date that the Beis Hamikdash was completed. Anyway, right? He could have chosen a different day to have the ceremony.
I understood that he wasn't supposed to delay it.
I thought he waited like almost a year.
Is that
Wasn't it completed in Cheshvan or Kislev?
from the Gemara yesterday? It looks like maybe whenever it falls out, that's when he's supposed to do it. And over here, it just happened to fall out like that. It says they should have delayed it. It says no, you can't delay it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, where do you have it from? Where are you saying that it was finished in Cheshvan?
I remember same way, Hanukkah is because I guess the Mishkan was completed in Kislev, and that wasn't made a Hag, but later on in Kislev, Hanukkah came. I thought it was the same thing with the temple, that it was completed in Cheshvan, and then Shlomo Melech waited almost a whole year, and that in the future Cheshvan is going to be like a special holiday also for the temple, for the third temple.
I remember reading something like that, but from a second, I read it in like Bnei Yissaschar or something, on the Hanukkah things. But I don't remember what that was. Was that maybe the Mishkan was completed, and then they waited until Nisan.
Right, for Kislev. But I thought it was a similar thing with the temple also, that Shlomo Melech also waited, but I don't remember exactly.
From the Gemara yesterday, it sounds like not. So the Gemara says, what about just bringing the sacrifices and not eating? The Gemara says, no, ein simcha b'lei achila v'shtil. You can't have a party without eating. Okay. Mishkan dedachi Shabbos minalan. How do you know that the Mishkan was they violated Shabbos in the inauguration of the tabernacle? So it says like this. If you say it's from the verse Bayem Marishan and Bayem Ashvi, it says that they brought sacrifice on the first day, and it says they brought sacrifice on the seventh day. What's the first day? Sunday. And what's the seventh day? Shabbos. Right? And the princes that brought the sacrifice. Dil Mashvi Lakabanas. How do you know the seventh day means the seventh day of the week? Maybe the seventh day means the seventh time that someone was bringing a sacrifice, and everyone brought one day, but they skipped Shabbos. So the seventh day would be Sunday. It doesn't say that it's the seventh day of the week. The pasuk says, on the day of the 11th, on the day of the 11th day. So my yom kula ratzav. Why does it have an extra day in there? On Ubayayim, and on the day Ashtei Asayim of the 11th day. Why does it say that? So it's coming to tell me that just like a day, there's no break in the middle of the day. It's all consecutive. So also the 11 days were all consecutive. There was no break in the middle. The Gemara says, maybe it's only talking about the days that were potential to bring the sacrifices is consecutive. But on Shabbos, it's not including that. So it says, we have another pasuk. On the day of the 12th day. But there it also has a double day. Just like a single day is consecutive, constant, there's no break in the middle. So too, the 12 days was all one after another. So maybe it's only talking about the days that are eligible to bring the sacrifices. So it says, so why does it have to say twice? For the 11th day and then for the 12th day. It's coming to tell me that it's not just the Yamim Haroyim, the days that are eligible to bring the sacrifices, actually talking about that it was one day after another. Yeah. So they brought the sacrifices on Shabbos. If that's the case, so that means you could push off Shabbos to bring the sacrifice for the inauguration of the temple. And therefore, they pushed up Yom Kippur for the inauguration. Right? If you push off Shabbos for the inauguration of the Mishkan, you can push off Yom Kippur for the inauguration of the temple.
Push it off, meaning they just
well, did they push it off for another day?
yeah.
I don't remember what it says, but apparently they didn't. I mean, from here, no, but did they have to make it up somehow? I think it says somewhere that they had to do something. I don't remember what it says. Danielle, you remember anything? Yeah, I don't remember the ins and outs.
This was for the dedication of Mishkan.
In the Mishkan, they brought the sacrifices on Shabbos, and by the temple, they ate on Yom Kippur. Okay. If you want to try to remember the page in the month of Bull. Second, let's see what you're saying over here. It's the 8th month. Oh. And the month of Bull is Cheshvan. It's a very strong question on the Gemara. That's a big problem. The question is, the Gemara earlier said that they couldn't postpone when okay. The Gemara said maybe they should delay when they're going to finish the building of the Beis Hamikdash so that the celebration should come out on another time. The Gemara says, no, you're not allowed to delay the completion of the Beis Hamikdash. But turns out that the Beis Hamikdash was actually completed in the month of Cheshvan. They waited a full year till the following year, Tishrei, and then they did the celebration. For the permit, right? Yeah, it doesn't ask anything. That's interesting. Okay, we have a question. Now it says, Mikdash Tedaicha Yom Kippurim Minalan. How do you know the Mikdash, the Beis Hamikdash, the inauguration of the temple, pushes off Yom Kippur? It says, because it says that they celebrated 14 days. Maybe that was only the days that they were eligible to celebrate, that were fit to celebrate. That means that they skipped Yom Kippur. The Gemara says, no. Just like by the inauguration of the tabernacle, they didn't take a day off. It was all consecutive. So too, by the Mikdash, by the Beis Hamikdash, it was all consecutive. The celebration was one day after another. Yatsa Baskel Varmam Kolcham is Amanam Lachayelam Abba. Baskel came out and says what you did was acceptable. And all of you, all the people, it's the whole Kol Kal Gadol, right? It's the whole congregation. Chol Yisraelim Kal Gadol. Everyone was there, and everyone that was there is members of the world to come. When we know Achalu, how do we know that? How do we know that they were forgiven? The Tani Tachlifa was taught by Tachlifa. This is Gemara in Shabbos also. B'yei Mashmini Shalach Esa'am Vayevarchu Es HaMelech. On the 8th day, he sent away the people and they blessed the king. Vayelchu La'aleim. They went to their homes, to their tents. Smeichem v'toiv v'leiv. Happy and gladdened. Al kol ha'teva asher asa Hashem leDavid abdei Yisrael Amei. For all the good that Hashem had done for David his servant. David wasn't alive. It was Shlomo Melech. Uli Yisrael Amei. And to his nation Israel. So now the Gemara goes back to explain what happened over here. They were sent away on the 8th day. As they were said goodbye, or he told them that they could go home now. They blessed the king. They go to their tents. It says la'aleim. What does it mean? They went to their tents. When they came home, they found that all of their wives were all pure. The way the cycles worked out, they had all gone to the mikvah already. Smechem, they were happy. Why were they happy? Because they had seen the Shechina. The Toivi Leiv, they were gladdened, good heart, gladdened. All of their wives became pregnant with male children. Yeah, that sounds like a Sephardic Gemara here. Ashkenazim wouldn't say it like this. But all right, well, I will accept it. Okay, Al Kol HaTaiva, for all the good. Shiatza Baskal Varmalem Kulchem is Amanam Lachayelam Abba. And a Baskal, a heavenly voice comes out, and it says, all of you are Mizumanim, are going right in. They're prepared for the world to come. Invited. LeDavid Avdi Yisrael Amai, for David, his servant, and for this people Israel. Bishleim Yisrael Amai. We get what's going on with the Jewish people. The Achalu Avain Yom Kippurim, because they were just forgiven for eating on Yom Kippur. El David Avdi Maihi. What is it saying that all the good that Hashem had performed for David? What good did Hashem do for David? Yeah, I know it's Shlomo Melech is his son. But that would be like the house of David. What does it say? What does it mean, David? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, when Shlomo wants to bring in the furniture, he built the Beis Hamikdash. Now he has to bring in the Aron. He has to bring it in. So what happened was, Dovku Sharim Zelazeh. The doors got locked. Yeah. So it got stuck. The doors got stuck. Amar Shlomo Esrim va'arba renanis v'leinena. So Shlomo says 24 songs. It doesn't answer. Now Rashi says that in that prayer that Shlomo Melech says, it says over there Rina, Trina, Tfila, Bakasha. It says over there a bunch of different prayers 24 times. It says those words. So Pasach Varma, then he says, Su Sharm Rashechem, lift up the gates, lift up your heads. But it still doesn't answer. Kivan Shamar Hashem Alikim, Al Tashiv Pnei Mashichecha, that don't turn away the face of your anointed one. Zachar Lachasti David Avdecha, remember the kindness of David, your servant. Miyad Nene, then all of a sudden the doors open up. He's right away answered. At that moment, the enemies of David, their faces turned like the bottom of a pot. They were all ashamed. Everyone knew that David was forgiven for that sin of Bathsheba. The sin of Bathsheba. Yeah, there were people that were critical of David always, the whole time. I mean, he speaks about this, and my enemies, the people they shame me. People were saying like David was not really worthy of being the king. And then all of a sudden the doors open up of the Beis Hamikdash when Shlomo Melech says, open up in the honor of David, and then the doors open, so everyone realized that David was really forgiven. He was really a tzaddik. Rabbi Yonasan ben Asmai, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim, Tanu Parshas Nadarim Bei Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Yeah, I'm always surprised about this Gemara. I still don't have it worked out. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, if you remember in Shabbos, he has this conversation with Rabbi Yehuda bar Abilai, and Rabbi Yossi about how good the Romans are. Anyway, there's a fellow on the side. His name is Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim. Over there, it doesn't say Rabbi Yehuda; it just says Yehuda ben Gerim. And apparently, the Romans found out because Yehuda ben Gerim, whatever, said it over or something like that. Anyway, over here, it really throws you off because at the end of the story in Shabbos, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai sees Yehuda ben Gerim. He says, "This person is still amongst the living." And he looks at him and he becomes like a heap or something. Anyway, look at this. I have two students, two sages, Rabbi Yonasan ben Asmai and Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim. They learn Masechtas Nedarim in the house of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Iftar minei ba'orta. They say goodbye in the evening. L'tzafra in the morning, hadav v'kam iftar minei. They go say goodbye again. Amalu v'lav iftarisa minei ba'orta. You already said goodbye. What are you coming back to say goodbye again? Our master, our teacher, you taught us. Talmud shnifta rabbi. If a student says goodbye from his teacher, v'lon b'yisir, but he still stays in that city for overnight, you have to say goodbye again. It says on the 8th day, he sends the people home and they bless the king. It says that he sent them away on the 23rd. Now, there were 7 days plus 7 days. The second 7 days would be Sukkot, and then the 8th day, Shmini Atzeres. He said, I guess, at the celebration of Shmini Atzeres, he tells them everyone can go home. But they stayed overnight, and they go home on the 23rd of Tishrei. Not on the 22nd, so they stayed overnight. It says on the 23rd, he sends him home. That means he said goodbye twice. Why? Because they stayed overnight. So very good. That's the source. Amalei Lebrei. So Reb Shimon Bar Yochai tells his son, assume it's Rebbe Lazar Bar Shimon. He says, B'nei Adam halalo, anashim shel tzurahim. Ooh, these are important people. Anashim shel tzura. These are people of form. These are special people. Zil gabeim delevarchucha, of substance. Yeah, but surah actually probably means ruchnias, at least in philosophical terms. So
Rashi says Torah scholars.
Yeah, Chachamim, Rashi says. Yeah, in philosophical terms, chaymer and surah, there's matter and form. And form always means ruchnias, at least in Maral language. So, Zil gabeim delevarchucha. Go to them so that they should give you a bracha. Sounds good. Azil, he goes. Ashkechina the karami krayada. He comes, but they're in the middle of a conversation. They're discussing psukim together. How does it go? It says Ksiv. One pasuk in Mishlei says, "Pales magal raglecha v'chol derechecha yikainu." Measure your footsteps, and all your ways should be firm. Just be careful where you go. Like calculate. Uksiv, but there's another pasuk that says, "Oirachayim pentifolis." The way of life that should lest it be measured means it should not be measured. So, yeah, this is really talking about the pasuk shot in the psukim is talking about the second pasuk. Oirachayim pentifolis is referring to the Isha, the bad woman that her lips are sweet, but her end is bitter, like Marakalana. And then Oirachayim Pentifala, she doesn't measure her ways, so So anyway, stay away from her. That's the chapter over there. So here it's referring to, in the way the Gemara is learning it, is that it's referring to certain types of behavior in Torah mitzvahs. It says, like kasha, it's not a contradiction. If it's a mitzvah that someone else could perform, then you have to measure. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Someone else can do it, then I'm not going to do it. However, if it's a mitzvah that no one else can perform, then you have to do it yourself. Yeah, because the mitzvah overrides Torah. If no one else can perform that mitzvah. If someone else can do it, so then the Torah is strong. But if no one else can do it, then you have to go ahead and do it. Yeah, Tosfos over here mentions that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, who was Terasim Nasai, he never stopped studying Torah. So he nevertheless stopped for a sukkah and lulav. However, Tosfos says, for davening and Kriya Shema, he didn't. Wow. Kiveger asks a question. It says in Masechta Shabbos that he did stop for Kriya Shema. So tefillah for Shemon Esrei he didn't stop, but for
This is the Gemara used for the machloket, like what's more Tashuf Torah study.
Yeah, that's a Gemara in Kedushin about they debated what's better,
So
mitzvahs or Torah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Here it's basically that any mitzvah that a person is obligated to perform, no one else can do it for you, so you have to go and do it. So Hada Yasir become Mibailo. Then they started to discuss another thing. He's waiting for his blessing. They're discussing Torah. It says Ksiv Yikari Mipninim, that the Torah is more precious than rubies or pearls. Kol Chavetzecha Yeshvuba, and all your items of desire are not comparable to it. It says Chafetzecha, your desires, items, but things that are for heaven, Yeshvuba, they do compare to it. But there's another pasuk that says Kol Chafetzim La Yeshvuba. Doesn't say your desires. It says anything that's desirable is not comparable to the Torah. Even things from heaven are comparable to it. So he said, they answer, the same answer, that it depends. If it's a mitzvah that someone else could perform, then Torah is stronger. That's kol chavetzecha liyishvuba. But if it's something that you have to do, then no, kol chavetzecha liyishvuba is something that you have to do. That Cheftei Shemayim is comparable to Torah. Okay. Amrulay, now he's just overhearing this conversation. Amrulay, they say to him, my bayasacha, what are you doing here? What do you want? Amalahu, so he says, Amrli Abba, my father said, Zil gabayo di levarchucha, I should come to you to get a blessing. So Amrulay, they say to him, Yehei Rava, it should be the will of Hashem, the tizra v'lei tachtzad, that you should plant and not cut, not harvest. Tayel v'lei tepuk, you should bring in, but you shouldn't bring out. Tepuk v'lei tayel, you'll take out, but you can't bring in. Licharav beisach, your house will be destroyed. V'leisav v'shpizach, you have to stay in and in. Lebalbel pesarach, your table should be confused. V'lei techsi shat echad, you shouldn't see a first year. Kiyasa gabi avua, comes to his father. Amalei, he said, tells his father, let me buy the beruche lai baricha and avatsuri tzuran. Not only didn't they bless me, but they even pained me. They gave me a curse. Amalei, my amalach. What did they say to you? Hachi v'hachi amalei. He said this and this. Amalei, Shimba says, no. Hanach kula berchasaninu. What they said was all blessings. Tizra v'lei techtzed. You'll plant, but you won't harvest. That's referring to Toiled Banim V'lei Yamusu. That means you'll have children and they won't die. It means they won't be cut down. What's the next one? Tayal V'lei Tepuk. You'll bring in, but you won't bring out. Tayal Kalasa V'lei Lamusu Benach, the Leifkan. You'll bring in daughters-in-law, and your sons will live so that they'll live long, so that the daughters-in-law won't have to go back to their parents. You'll bring in, but you won't give out. Teipa v'leitayil.
Ali, quick question. In my Gemara, the word that you're reading is katser.
Oh, I have techtzad.
Yeah, it's a dalad. Is that a different?
Your Gemara says chatzer.
No, it says dalad. I thought you were
Oh.
reading, is it a resh?
No, techtzad.
Okay.
With the
Thank
dal,
you.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, that could be a problem with Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tepuk v'leitayil. You'll take out, but you won't. Techtzad means to cut, to mow, like to mow the lawn. Tepuk v'leitayil. You'll take out, but you won't bring in. Toilid binsa v'leyamusu guvrayu delehadru levasech. You'll have daughters, and their husbands will live long, so they won't come back to you. The daughters move out to the husband's house. They won't have to come back because your sons-in-law will live long. Your house will be destroyed, and you live in an inn. The high alma shpizach, because this world is an inn. And the next world is a house. The ksiv kirbam tikri kirbam ela kivram, talking about the grave. It doesn't actually mean the world to come. It means where the body will live in the grave. That's considered the house. So it says your house will be destroyed because you live in the inn. You'll stay alive for a long time, which is this world is an inn. Lebalbel pesairach, your table will be a mess. Bibani benasa, with sons and daughters. Yeah. Okay. You won't see a first year, a new year. Your wife won't pass away, and you won't have to have a Shana Rishina again. Shana Rishina is the first year of marriage. The person is supposed to be home for the first year. He doesn't go to war or whatever, so he will never have a first year. His wife will live long. Okay. By the way, I didn't get a chance to look it up, but the Rebbe has a Rishima, the notebooks that they found in the Rebbe's desk after he passed away. So they found these notebooks notes the Rebbe had written from before he became Rebbe, from 40 years earlier. So in one of those notes, it has an explanation for this Gemara.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look it up, but I remember when they were printing them right after the Rebbe passed away, they found these notebooks. They printed them. So I remember reading this piece in there. Yeah. It's published now in several volumes. Reb Shimon ben Chalafta iftaminei de Rav. Reb Shimon ben Chalafta, he's taking leave of Rav. Rav is the teacher. Amalei Avua Lebrei, it's probably. So Rav tells his son, Zil Gabei Di Levarchucha, go to Reb Shimon ben Chalafta. He should give you a bracha. Amalei Yehi Rava, he goes to him, he says, should be your will, the leitevish for leitispayish. It should be the will of Hashem, Yehi Rava, it means Yehi Ratzon, that you won't shame others and you won't be ashamed. Asa Gabi Avua comes to his father. Amalei Mayamalach, what did Reb Shimon ben Chalafta tell to you? Samalei Milim Ba'almud, I said nothing. Just he said some words, nothing significant. Amalei Barchach Birchasa the Barchan Kuchabrichali Yisrael. That's not a simple thing. He gave you the blessing that Hashem gave to the Jewish people. V'tanaba, and Hashem repeated it. It says, "T'ksiv achaltem achol v'savaya v'elaltem v'goyma v'le'yivoshu ami la'olam v'yedatem ki b'kerev Yisrael ani v'le'yivoshu ami la'olam." You will eat and be satisfied, and you will praise you. My nation will not be ashamed forever. You will know that I am amongst the Jewish people, and my nation will not be ashamed forever. That means that the double expression here is that you won't shame others and you won't be ashamed. Yeah. They'll never come on to need others. Va'isa isha tachshitao, the Mishnah said that a woman can put on her makeup on Chol HaMoed. We're going to another case here. Case of the Mishnah. Yeah. Back to the halachas. Tan Rabbanan. Start in the Brisa. Eloin tachshiti nashim. The following is makeup that a woman would be allowed to put on. It says kechelas, she can paint her eyes. Paikeses, this means that she could divide her hair. She wants to put a hair on one side and a hair on, whatever the way they make the hair, into ponies. Umavira sirak al panea, and she can put something on her face. This is a type of ointment that makes her cheeks red, a blush or something. No, the Gra has another girsa. It means she can put a razor. She can take off the hair. Ikadamri mavir sirak al panea shel mata. Some say that means that she can put this ointment on her private area. Or, according to the Gra, it means that she can shave the hair of her private area. The bisu de Rav Chizda mekashta ba'anpe kalasa. Rav Chizda's wife, she's putting on makeup in front of her daughter-in-law. Now, what that means is that she's an older woman and she has a daughter-in-law. Yeah, obviously she had to have a child, and the child has to grow up to be able to get married. So Yosef Rav Huna bar Chinna kamed Rav Chizda. Rav Huna bar Chinna is sitting in front of Rav Chizda. Yosef v'kamar. And he's saying, who's supposed to put on makeup? A young girl, not an older woman. What is she putting on makeup for? What's she trying to do? She's an older woman. So Amarle, holy Kim. This is like it's like a swear, like I promise, what are you talking about? Afilu imcha v'afilu emadimach. Even your mother. And even your grandmother, even if she's standing by the grave. The people say that a 60-year-old is like a 6-year-old. They run to when they hear the bell of a band or music, they start running, they start dancing or whatever. So an older woman is the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, the women know this. Apparently, yeah. Someone told me that the laws of yichud apply to an older woman just like to a younger woman.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's actually a way of telling the woman that she's still worthy. She's still the laws still apply. Just because she's older, it doesn't mean that she has no attraction. No, the same halachas apply to. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Amar leitasut. Rabbi Yehuda says that you can't put on this plaster because it makes her look bad at the beginning. Afterwards, when you take it off, it looks better. But so Tanya was started in the Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Isha leitasut nation nivalula. The Brisa says, Rabbi Yehuda says that she shouldn't put on this sort of plaster, this lime, because it makes her look bad at the beginning until it's taken off, and then she looks better later. Moed Rabbi Yehuda besid sheyachel lekaplay b'mayed shetefaltei b'mayed afal pisha metziri achshav simchi lachazman. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda agrees that if it's a type of plaster that could be folded off, it could be peeled off on Cholamayid, that you're allowed to do it. That even though right now it doesn't look good, but soon it's going to look good, and she's going to be very happy. Yeah, I'm not sure what the difference is between before. Maybe the one before was that she's only going to look good after Yom Tov. Here, it's a type of plaster that she's going to look good on Yom Tov as well. Does Rabbi Yehuda hold of this? That because there's going to be a joy later, we accept it now. The problem is Vatanan, but we have a Mishnah. This is in Masechtas Avodah Zarah. You weren't supposed to do business with a non-Jew 3 days around their holiday, because after the deal's over, they're going to go to their church and they're going to say, "Oh, so good," and they'll praise their gods. I'm sorry.
We
3 days. Within 3 days of their holiday, you weren't supposed to do business.
Or is that really?
Yeah, why it doesn't apply today is another discussion. For us, it would be 3 days around the holiday. It would be Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, okay, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There goes the week. Okay, so Amrulai. So Rabbi Yehuda said that you're allowed to collect money from them. That's not considered business. That's not considered the prohibition. You're allowed to take, if they owe you money, you're allowed to collect it during those 3 days because they don't want to pay and you're collecting the money. So they're not going to go into their church and say, thank their Avodah Zarah because that they had to pay. No, it was a problem that they had to pay. Amrulai, Afal Pisha Meitzer Achshav Samachal Acharzman. They argued with Rabbi Yehuda and they said they're upset right now. But when their debt is gone, they're going to be happy. They're happy that they got it over with. Right now it was tough. It was tight to pay. It was hard for them to pay. But afterwards they say, they're relieved. So that's why the sages say you're not allowed to do that. The simcha comes later. Now, Rabbi Yehuda holds the simcha that comes later is nothing. So our question is, Rabbi Yehuda says that when a woman puts on this plaster and takes it off, she has simcha later. Over here, Rabbi Yehuda says simcha that comes later is nothing. You can't compare all of halachas of Moed. What are you allowed to do on Chol Moed? You're allowed to cook and clean and whatever. You're allowed to do all those things. Anyone enjoys that? It's only because afterwards you get to eat it. So all the work that you do on Chol Moed is all a pain, and then you enjoy it later. So too, the makeup, the thing, you put it on, you take it off. At the beginning, it's a pain, and afterwards, it's enjoyable. Ravina Amar Kuti Linyan Pirayin Leila Meitza says you don't know those people. You think that, well, in Rabbi Yehuda's view, think that later on they're happy that they got rid of their debts. Now they're debt free, no more credit cards. Think they're happy? No, they're not happy. They didn't care if they still stayed in debt and whatever. They never want to pay. And even afterwards, they're not happy that they had to pay, that they got it over with. Okay. I'm Rav Yehuda. Okay. I'm Rav Yehuda. It depends how they market the credit cards, the debt cards. I'm Rav Yehuda. B'nai Yisrael shegiu lapirkan. Jewish girls, they reached their age of puberty. What's the difference? They're not 12 years old. So they should not be growing hair. They have puberty too early. So Anias Typhlosis and Basid, if they're poor, then they remove their hair with plaster or lime. That was cheaper. Ashiris, but if they're wealthy, Typhlosis and Basilis, they remove the hair with flour, like they make a paste. B'nais Malachim b'Shem and Amar, but if they're princesses, then they use the oil of myrrh. Shnemer Shisha Chadashim b'Shem and Amar. What were they doing? What was Esther doing in the Shem and Amar for 6 months? It was removing hair. My Shem and Amar.
Excuse me, what would be the purpose of that?
They didn't want to look like they reached puberty when they were still too young.
But who's seeing there?
I don't know. They bathed together.
Okay.
Yeah. In the new world, we have different standards. We lived in a one-room house. You know what I'm saying? Man?
Okay.
The whole everyone with the grandparents. Remember Charlie in the chocolate factory? The 2 grandparents slept with. And, okay. So, my Shem and Amar, what is Shem and Amar? Rav Huna bar Chia Amar Satakas. Yeah. I don't know what that is, but that's Shem and Amar. Something, some resin of the tree. Rabbi Yirmiyah Barami Shem and Zayish Levi Shlish. It's actually olive oil made from olives that only grew 1/3. So the very unripe olives. The oil that you get out of that was probably, very strong, very sharp. Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Eimer on Pikanin, Shemen Zayis Levi Shlish. Rabbi Yehuda says in this brisa that on Pikanin is this type of oil that's made from this olive oil. Why do they put this on? It removes hair and it makes the skin like more red, more like blush. Rabbi Habali Brata. Rabbi had a daughter. Tafla Aver. He put on this ointment limb by limb, one limb at a time, and he took it off or whatever, and he took off the hair that she had, and it makes the skin nice. Zimna, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Shakal Dalad Meazuzi. She was so beautiful that when she got married, he took from the chassan 400 zuz. That's how beautiful she was. Instead of him giving the dowry, the chassan paid for her. Hava hahu kuti b'shvivusei. There was this kuti in his neighborhood. Davale brate. He also had a daughter. So sees this girl that's so beautiful. Tafla b'chad zimni. He doesn't know what he's doing. He puts on this ointment, the whole body at one time. Umesa, but the girl died. Amar katla bibi lebrate. He says, Bibi killed my daughter because of the advice that he gave, or they probably asked, how did she become so beautiful? He said, Amar Rav Nachman, Rav Bibi. Okay, obviously he did it wrong, but Rav Nachman says, Rav Bibi the shasi shechra bayin binsi tafla. Rav Bibi, they drink wine by not wine. They drink beer by Rav Bibi, so therefore they grow a lot of hair and they have to get the hair removed. Anan, but us, Teleshasin and Shechra, we don't drink beer. Leibin Bansi Tafla, our daughters don't need this. Apparently, we're drinking beer. I thought they would say whiskey, but apparently drinking beer makes them grow hair. Okay, let's leave it here. Have a good Shabbos, everyone.
Okay, have a good Shabbos.
Thank
have a good one.
Have a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Bez Hashem, I'll be here Sunday. Then,
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
then Daniel. Yeah, totally up to date. Yeah, Sunday I'll do a blot and a half, and then Reb Daniel will take over. Okay.
So you're out.
Part of their hair, right?
Yeah.
So it seemed like, and I think it's obvious that they weren't covering their hair.
Unless it was before they were married. Oh no. No. Yeah, I don't know. It was the shaitan. It was the shaitan.
What happened to the?
Uh-huh.
What happened?
It was the shaitan.
What happened to the Mishnah?
Got put away inside the house. I think all the kalim, I think we were in storage or something, and it's in storage somewhere hidden. I don't know.
Well, no, weren't the Caleb were used to basically.
I don't think so. I think all the kalim were held in storage. They made new things for the basement.
Made a brand new art.
No, the aron. Oh, you're talking about the aron and
What happened to the beads?
I think all of that was put in some storage place. I think it says that in the Navi that they held it in the storage.
Some guy in auction storage was.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Moshe, safe trip. You coming home now?
I'm on my way to Phoenix.
Oh boy.
Yeah. There he is.
Your son's a good
Shabbos.
traveler over there.
Yeah. We were in Minnesota yesterday, and it was minus 18.
Wow.
It was crazy. And it was my father's 83rd birthday last night, so we flew into Miami for that, and now we're flying out again.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And then we go next week to Los Angeles, then to New York, where we'll be Shabbos in New York. So for the following Shabbos. So that's whatever. So Baruch Hashem. Only good.
Okay.
Only b'soros tovos. Okay.
Yeah,
Shabbos.
Okay, have a good Shabbos.
Thank you.